Let's talk crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Today I want to talk to you guys about everything that I've been crocheting up until today, and today, well, the day of recording is January 11th, 2025. So this is still part of that catching up from my time off, what I've been working on. And at this point, you guys have seen the things that I made for Christmas, and you've seen the things that I've made for donation. So I'm not going to include those, but there are a few other things that I have made in that kind of interim time, and I do want to show those, as well as some yarn acquisitions and some works in progress, and also a little bit of an update on that big old box of goodies from Australia. And I want to share my opinion on some of those. So I'll get to that at the end. But let me start with some yarn acquisitions. I'm going to take you to another clip, and then I'll meet back up with you here. It is snowing outside. I just came back in from going out and talking to a neighbor, and I thought, as my children are out living their best life, I would go ahead and jump on in here and share with y'all some yarny acquisitions, because last night I was surprised by a special gift and I wanted to feature that in particular. But before I do that, I do want to just talk about a quick yarn that I picked up. And that is one that I wasn't really anticipating, but when I saw it at the store, I just decided, okay, I have some Christmas money, let's go for it. That is some Premier Eversoft. So you can see the price tag there, $2.50. This was from a store that we have in our area called Bargain Hunt. They don't always have yarn, but sometimes they do. And when I saw the Eversoft, there was a beautiful display of a lot of different colors. It is a 4-weight yarn. This one is 270 yards, so it's like a larger skein. I think when I was looking online, there were smaller skeins of it, but this is basically a Caron Simply Soft. And I got 4 of these. I got the color Spring Green. I got the color Robin's Egg, and I've already started a project with that. More on that later. You're hearing the little click of the stitch marker there. I got the color Mellow Green, and then I got the color Icy Blue, which is just perfect for the snowy day. The window's over here and it's just coming down and it's lovely. So I'm really excited to be working with these. I hadn't really anticipated getting those colors, but when I saw it, something in my heart was like, yes, let's do that. I had an idea for what I wanted to do, and of course that's already in execution now. But this part is talking about yarny acquisition, so let me talk about what I really got excited about, and that is some yarn from Knaresborough. Let me just show you. So I have a friend that was recently in England, and little did I know, she did some shopping for me. She ended up going to a beautiful little yarn shop called Knitting Pretty in Knaresborough. Knaresborough. Apologies for mispronouncing that. So she shows up with this bag of yarn, and y'all, my jaw was on the floor. So let me show you what she brought me. She brought me a King Cole homespun prism double knitting. And so this little donut, beautiful, beautiful donut. It is 50 grams, 22% fine merino superwash, 22% alpaca, 23% polyamide, 23% acrylic, 10% viscose, approximately 175 meters or 191 yards. This is called Rain Cloud. So it's all these grays, but it also has a little bit of the little flecks in there. So beautiful, beautiful yarn there, one of those. And then y'all, I was floored because I've seen this yarn in so many different little yarn shops, but she actually brought it to me. West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft Shetland Tweed, 100% Shetland Islands wool. This is a DK weight. It is 100 gram hank. It is 246 yards. And this is the color Skellister. Right there. This beautiful mulberry color. And then, my friend knows me well, a second hank. This is the color Hillside. Beautiful colors. Okay, so obviously this is going to have to be a color work project with these two. I love Y'all, I love this. I have just been starting to get into more pinks, and adding that in with my favorite green is going to be a delight. So again, DK weight yarn. I haven't decided the project yet. I just got these yesterday, but I'm so excited. I think I know the direction I'm going to go, but I'm not sure. So anyway, those two, and that wasn't all. The last thing I found in there were these two gorgeous hand-dyed hanks. Can you believe it? Okay, so this one is they're both hand-dyed by George and Rose. I'll have to look that up, and if I find information, it'll go in the description box along with information about the little yarn shop there. This first snow is happening outside. Can you hear? This first one is standard sock. It's 100 grams. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 meters to 100 grams, hand dyed in Narrowsboro. It does not have a color name on it, but it's a base of these wonderful rich greens, kind of like the deeper mossy tones, but with all that yellow undertone. And then it has like a berry burgundy, a nice gorgeous muted yellow in there, and then into even some turquoise and aqua. It feels so beautiful, and I cannot wait to work with this. The second one does have a name. This is Malachite, and it is handwritten on here, so I might not get this fully properly explained, but it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. It's either 450 meters per 100 grams or 400 meters per 100 grams. Hand dyed in Narrowsboro. How gorgeous are these? And even to work these two together, that aqua blue, it's like a deep Caribbean blue with just the littlest hint of sparkle. I don't even know if it picks up. Normally sparkle will pick up pretty well, but it's just the tiniest little bit. It's so beautiful. So to work those two up together, it's so lovely the way that this will pick up just the littlest bit in there. I don't know the projects yet. I'm really excited though. And in fact, one of the things that I am doing this year, I'm trying to do a spreadsheet that keeps track of my yarny acquisitions, and then when those are used in projects, or like when I use up most of a yarn in a project, what that is used for. Not necessarily doing my entire stash, but just kind of keeping a handle on that. So I'll have to put these hanks and these balls into that spreadsheet so I can keep up with them. Real quick, I do have some yarn set aside that I think might work with this, since it does have the little tweedy bits. So I have this Rowan felted tweed, and then I have two other colors that are all, I think, similar sizes. Like these are all DK weights, and they're similar enough blends of yarn that I wanted to work them all together. But I was thinking, I don't know if I want to put these two together, or if I want to just keep these three, or if I want to somehow mix and match with all these different ones. I'm not quite sure yet, but I am actively thinking of some color work projects. And so yeah, do let me know in the comments, would you add this more variegated into these more solid tweeds, or would you keep maybe these two aside? What would you do? Would you put the aqua and coral and gray and purple together, or how would you work that out? I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm wondering if adding a fourth color into this would just be too much, or something like that. I don't know. I think projects can work well when there's a balance of different contrasts, like darker colors and lighter colors. But yeah, I'd be curious to know your thoughts, so thank you. I think this clip is gonna go along with kind of showing some of my works in progress, so I'm gonna jump you to that right now. So of those yarns, I've already started working on one, as you know, but that's gonna be a work in progress. In fact, let me go ahead and tell you about my works in progress, and I will start with that one. I am working on a Helianthus anus, which I guess is a translation, maybe that's like a Latin name for sunflower perhaps, but I'm working on a shawl pattern. It is not a written pattern, but it is a free chart. And y'all, I've already had some challenges with that. I got through the first 18 rows and realized I was doing it wrong. So I frogged back the entire thing, and now here I am my little stitch counter, my row counter is dangling there. But I've gotten back through that first kind of initial 17, and then I've just barely started on the petals. So in this pattern, the idea is that you do little puff stitches or bobble stitches to kind of replicate the interior of the sunflower with the seeds. I didn't do that. I thought that would make it too thick because I am using this 4-weight yarn. But yes, I have started the petals. I think it's going to be really pretty, and I'm going to excitedly work through the end of this and then go on with some other colors and really have fun with the color patterns there. For this one, I am using a 5.5 millimeter hook. That is what is recommended. And yeah, so that is work in progress number 1. This yarn really is a lot like Caron Simply Soft, but it just feels so soft and so nice to work with. I haven't worked a ton with Simply Soft. I've worked with similar things. I've worked with Hobby Lobby's version of it. I have worked with the Ogo version of it. But out of those 3, this Eversoft, I think, is my favorite so far. So yay for that. I'm excited that I also have those 3 other skeins of this yarn to add to the project. Another work in progress is a cardigan. This is one that I am just going to have to will myself to work on because it is the moss stitch. And the moss stitch, if you don't know, is just a repetition of single crochets and chains. For it, I'm using Memento from Knit Picks, and it is a pattern from Grace for the Frills. I'm using a size H hook, which I think it's a 5 millimeter hook, and I really think it is coming along quite beautifully. I'm on the 3rd ball out of the 10 that I have, and I'm working from the bottom up. So this will be one edge, and it'll wrap around the back. I haven't split. You're hearing my stitch marker knock against my table. But I'm gonna just have to power through and work back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on this because it's actually kind of boring to me, to be honest. But I just need to bust through until I split for the back and the front, and then I feel like it's going to pick up speed. So as of right now, I think it's a pretty good size. I'm kind of trying it on, and I think it's going to be just right to fit me. It's going to be stretching out more vertically. I've used this stitch before, and it does tend to stretch a little bit, but I think for the weight of yarn that it is, I think that's going to be just right. I feel like it's a good match of project to yarn. But yes, this is a longer project, so the more I work on that, the better. I do want to get that done because it's one of like 4 cardigans I have to work on this year. So that's another work in progress. 2 other kind of ongoing works in progress. Number 1 is going to be the pop-up flower blanket. I am kind of doing little bits and pieces. There's going to be a longer video on that. But for now, just know that I'm working on that slowly but surely in the background. It's a big, big project I have going on. And then another big project is my scrappy Afghan. And at this point, I am having to go through and sew in some ends. And really over the last couple of months, I've added a few more acrylics and I've had more scraps now. So I think in order to do another round of this, it's gonna need like 50 or 60 of those centers. I don't know for sure, but it's getting big enough to the point where it's almost a good throw size. So I'm just going to keep going until I run out of my border yarn. But until then, for now, the main thing is just to get those ends sewn in and get more of those scrap centers done. So I'm not sure when I'll do an update on this again, but just know that this is something ongoing, little bits and pieces in the background. The big fun question you might have right now is what are the things that I have finished in the past couple of months that I've really enjoyed? So I will show you those. Number 1 is 2 amigurumi. I did, over the course of December, I made a red panda. And this one is for a certain red panda lover in my family. I had to sneak into their room and ferret it away to show off. So this little guy is a red panda based on a complicated knots pattern. Y'all, I do not get different size safety eyes. I find them at one place. I just buy the smallest ones that they have, and that's what we use. Did a little bit of an embroidered nose, and this is the thing, again, with having to sew things on. As brilliant as this pattern is, you never sew on quite exactly as maybe you hoped. So things get a little bit personality-ish, I guess. And to be honest, maybe I could, if I wanted to, I could go back and kind of brush out some of the fur to make him a little bit fluffier. He's red panda-like. He's not exactly a red panda, but he did go on and live in a beautiful handmade cardboard box habitat for a while. So yes, red panda, definitely one that I'm proud of, that I wanted to make sure that I showed off. And most of these projects are going to be in my Ravelry, in my projects page. I can have that listed below if you want some more close-up photos of them. The other amigurumi that I did finish is Sunny the bear. Now I've named this little girl Edie because Edie is a brand of delicious ice cream, and instead of sorbet we have ice cream. I decided we're gonna have a caramel and coffee ice cream just based on the colors of yarn that I had. So this is a pattern by Cassandra over at Craftably Ever After. It came out originally in a magazine that I could have bought, I think, on an e-reader, but I decided to wait, and I just wanted to get her own pattern for it. So that is what I did when she released it. I was finally able to grab that. And to be honest, that is, I think, the first pattern I've ever actually purchased. So I'm really glad that I got to make her up. So Edie has a few differences from Cassandra's pattern. Number one, I was playing yarn chicken with this color of brown. So I ended up making the tail a little bit smaller than called for, and I made the arms a little bit just like hands. Instead of doing the full arm color, I did some more of the color in the sleeves. Also, I think Cassandra's pattern has a whole rainbow of colors in the shirt, and I just chose 3 that I wanted to work with and replicated those over and over. Her little grass skirt is so much fun. I think that she's probably more of a surfer. You know, she has her longer sleeved rash guard. That seems to be something that just is a lot more practical for her because she's an athletic girl, but she's coming in off of the beach. She is having her coffee ice cream. She's enjoying life. And yeah, she gets to celebrate a little bit with her friends. So this one I particularly wanted to do because we have a couple of really great ice cream places in our area, and it's always such a treat. I did slightly offset her face by accident, not intentionally, but I think it turned out all right because when I sewed on the cone, it looks like she's able to lick it just right. I think it actually settles in quite perfectly. I do like how I did the eyes. I didn't do eyebrows, but I did do a little white in there. Embroidery is always a work in progress. Yeah, but other than that, wow, Cassandra, thank you so much for this gorgeous pattern. I'm so glad that I got to make it, and I look forward to seeing what else you come up with in this next little bit. You're so creative. Your patterns are always so full of joy, and I'm so thankful that you make them available to us. So I'm going to put Edie, the ice cream bear, back over with some friends. So if y'all saw my yarn haul video, you know that I'm already using some of that yarn from Knit Picks in the sweater, in the cardigan. I did use a bit more of it. This is City Tweed. This was the, let's see here, Aran weight or heavy worsted weight, and this was the color Snowbank. And so for this hat that I did, it worked up pretty big, and it is the forest green hat. Now I'm rocking kind of the Gibson girl style right now, so I don't think it's going to work quite well to do a beanie over it. But what I love about how this turned out is it's a beautiful kind of unisex hat. So my large-headed husband can wear it, my children can wear it, and I can wear this hat too. And because it is long enough, when you turn it up, it's an extra ear warmer there. Interestingly enough, with this particular yarn, it doesn't have a whole lot of stretch or bounce to it. So while it was quite beautiful to work with, it didn't have the same kind of stretch factor. It made the hat so it has a little less give. That's not a problem. It's just an interesting affordance of different yarns. It's something to think about and be aware of. And it does kind of give a different character to the final product. But again, love this hat. It has already gotten a lot of wear so far this year. 2 more things that I finished. One of them I just love. It's a sweater vest. So I have already made a sweater out of this Lion brand Wool Ease, and I think the oatmeal color. I had some left over, and so I just kind of cobbled together a sweater vest. I did like an offset V-stitch pattern, and I did kind of a ribbing of mixture of double crochet and single crochet and some slip stitches on the back loops. I ended up doing kind of different edgings on every side, but I don't really mind that. I think it gives an interesting texture to it. But what I really like about this sweater vest is it is absolutely perfect in terms of fit and in terms of shape for me. It's a little bit not too fitted, and so it really works well with the wardrobe that I have right now. So it's not made for like my dream wardrobe. It's made to go with the jeans and the tops and whatever I have right now. It's a good neutral color for me, and it is quite cozy. So really glad that I made that, and I think maybe in the future if I do more sweater vests, I'm gonna do this as my base pattern. Maybe switch up the stitch pattern for sure, just for some variety, but I really do love how that turned out, and it's a great addition to my wardrobe. The last thing that I have finished recently is the Small Talk shawl, and this is using Expression Fiber Arts, Anything is Possible Confident DK. That right there. So I got 3 hanks of it. I used almost the entirety of them. And when I did the Small Talk shawl, I didn't end up doing much of the edging there because I was playing so much yarn chicken, and I wanted the leaves to go straight down and fall as they would in the pattern. So this is a new idea for me in terms of shape. This is kind of a trapezoid, perhaps, not fully a trapezoid because there is a center point to it, but it's a, I don't know, maybe it's a half of an octagon perhaps. It's not exactly a crescent moon shawl, but I ended up loving how it falls. It just falls so perfectly over your shoulders. I think sometimes with a triangle shawl, it doesn't have the same weight once it's over your shoulders, and this is just so beautifully equally distributed. So this is a free pattern. It's one that lots and lots of people have made, and I think for good reason. It blocked out quite large, which was great, and there were a few times where I know I missed some stitches, but when I think about it, I think, hey, these are all kind of leaf patterns, and in nature, no 2 leaves are the same, so I just left, I think there's 3 or 4 different errors in there that I realized as I was doing it, so I just left them and let it be. In terms of the color, I think it's a great one. It's hard to see in my hair because my hair is starting to have some gray streaks, but there is a lot of kind of this bright gold undertone, especially when the light hits it a certain way. So I think that this will work really well as a shawl worn near my face, worn with my hair around it, because it'll kind of bring out some of those natural colors in there already. Editing Mary here. My hair is a little bit more disheveled. It's a little bit later in the day, but I was looking back and I remembered I forgot to tell you guys what it was from that box of goodies from Australia that I loved and the things that were less successful in the household. So number 1, best thing ever, y'all, those Tim Tams. Oh my goodness, Australian chocolate, as far as I understand, is top drawer. Now I understand y'all can get some stuff in Australia that you can also get in the UK. You can also get it in New Zealand, things from like Cadbury's, things of that nature. But my favorite of the edibles was definitely the Tim Tams. So good. The other favorite that I have is the chocolate chai tea. That is something that I have been enjoying quite a bit. I've been hoarding it a little bit, but I have shared some with the other tea drinkers in the home. That is delicious. Cherry ripe, that one in particular stands out to me in terms of a chocolate bar because it reminds me of like a Mounds bar, which it's basically like sweet condensed milk or just like a sweetened coconut that's wrapped in a dark chocolate. So that's the same thing, except you add cherry into the coconut. So it was a really fun mix for me. I really enjoyed that. It reminded me a little bit also of these things that we have in the States called chocolate covered cherries, where it's like a cherry cordial that has like a creamy fondant with it, and then that's all dipped in chocolate. Anyway, that was delicious as well. The children, of course, loved all the different characters that they were eating, but the one thing that had us perplexed and that I must say quickly went into the trash, sorry guys, musk sticks. that had us scratching our heads and trying to research what these were, where they came from. I think it really must be an acquired taste. They have kind of a perfumey floral flavor. I guess if you like eating like rose water candies or something of that nature, maybe even violet candies, you're going to be a little bit more familiar with that. But yeah, musk sticks were a big miss for us. So for my Aussie friends out there, let me know your thoughts on that. But again, we had a lot of fun trying all those goodies. I still need to get into that cookbook though. So with that being said, I'm going to jump you back to the end of the video. Editing Mary out. So that is all from me for now. For today, I will check back in with y'all at some point in the future. I'm not sure quite how frequently. I think I'm going to aim for maybe once a month, but don't hold me to that. We are still kind of moving and grooving and seeing what happens with this channel this year. But yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. Let me know what you're working on. What are you excited about for this year? Do you have some finishes that you're really proud of already? Let me know what you've been crocheting. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to all of my commenters, all of my friends, everyone who has been hanging out with me on this YouTube adventure. I really do appreciate you. And if for whatever reason I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.